The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect the views of Money Radio staff, management, or advertisers, and do not represent an offer to buy or sell any securities. Some interviews heard on this program may be sponsored by the participants. It's time for Health Futures with Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth. This is Arizona's only show dedicated to providing you with expert advice on how to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. To learn more, call 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. And it must be Friday, and indeed it is. We're coming at you live from the Scottsdale Air Park Money Radio Studios at 1510 AM, 105.3 FM, and the World Wide Web. www.moneyradio1510.com. Did I get that right, James? All right. It must be Friday. And Friday it is. It is August 19, and exactly 30 days from now, I get to celebrate a big birthday. And for our listeners, I talk about myself a lot. 6-0. I'm crossing that line. I just can't believe it. Fresh off of a really, really fun event yesterday morning. It was the Business Journal's 2022 Healthcare Hero event. And I was named as one of the finalists for the non-physician category. I've got Lauren straight here with me. Lauren, what do you think? It was a good event.
It was a fabulous event. So many deserving nominees and winners. And hey, you're still a winner in our eyes, Bob. So I think it was a great event. Well,
for those that don't realize it, I did not come up as the victor, but you know what? A new friend of mine did from Cancer Treatment Centers of America, CTCA, Amy Walters. A big shout out to Amy. Great job on that. Well, you know what? If you're just tuning into this show is about how our older adult population can live a healthier, happier life. How do they do that? They do that by listening right here to Money Radio's Health Futures. Comes at you live every Friday from 12 to 1. And we have had the pleasure over the last 9.5 years bring you some extraordinary guests. And today's no different. I'm really pleased to have coming through technology, through our phone lines out of Tucson, Arizona. I have got here on the line with me, I've got Lois Moncel. She is the Director of Fitness and Wellness for Robeson Resort Communities. Welcome to the show, Lois.
Good morning, or good afternoon, I guess.
Good afternoon to you.
How are you?
I'm doing really well, and it's nice to meet you. A lot of us folks that live up here in the Valley of the Sun, right here in Phoenix, are very familiar with Ed Robeson and what he's developed with the Robeson communities. But, I was figuring that maybe you might take a minute just to enlighten our listeners a little bit about this incredible organization. I've had a chance to meet Ed a couple times, and his beginnings start way back in 1972. Can you help fill in a little bit about the Robeson communities?
Well, we have about 7 communities, and I'm actually at the one located in Eloy, Arizona, which is between Phoenix and Tucson. And we're definitely growing community, as a lot of the communities are. And with that, obviously, with the growth, we have a lot more people working out or wanting to get a little more fit, do a little bit more for themselves. And so at our community, we really strive to bring new programs, and we have a lot going on, and we see the numbers still coming up all the time. Even during the summer, a lot of times you would think the numbers for classes or the gym would start to fall, which they do a little, but this year I have not seen that break a whole lot. We've stayed really steady, so that's exciting for us.
No, that's really good to hear. Tell us a little bit about this community in Eloy. For us that live here in Phoenix, I drive to Tucson. I had 3 daughters that went to school there, Bear Down, And you know what? Every time I drove down there, I'd always pass through Eloy, and I always was like, "Wow, this is fascinating." And I know a lot of people do, parachuting. They jump out of
Mm-hmm.
airplanes. I never quite understood that. Why would you jump out of a perfectly good flying airplane? But people do that. But
Yes.
can you tell us a little bit about the property, and then I want to dig a little bit deeper in talking about what you're wanting to talk about, fitness and health.
At our Rosen community, yeah, we're right off the highway, actually. So turning off 10, it takes about a 5 minute drive to get to our location. And it's nice because we're in between the airport, we're close to the city, but we're still a little bit more rural. So it's a quiet. But we do have a lot of people coming over from Casa Grande now, and with some of the new industries in Casa Grande, we're having a lot of new people coming in. Um, we have at our location, we have around about 2,000 homes, I think, and we're still growing.
Wow.
Um, we have a restaurant, a gym, a golf course. Uh, what else? Softball, pickleball. Um, so it's a really active. Our community is a pretty active community. Great, great community of people. Of course, they're super nice and a lot of fun. I think they have a lot of fun here.
Well,
We're always doing something to get them to keep them going and put a smile on their face and enjoy their time here.
exactly. And just doing a little research, that property is referred to as Robeson Ranch, right?
Correct.
Okay, Robeson Ranch, and do you know how long has Robeson Ranch been established? I mean, as I shared with you, Robeson communities have been around since 1972.
Yeah.
Is
Our community, I think this is around the 11th or 12th year here.
nice, nice. Well, I want to dig a little deeper into what you do, and certainly fitness and wellness and health is so important to older adults. And as I
Hmm.
shared at the top of the show, I'm one of those. I can live in your community, but I have chosen not to at this point. But gosh, I've been to many of your communities, and I got to tell you, the people love it. The one that I'm very familiar with is Pebble Creek, and
Yeah.
I'd love to learn a little bit more about what you are doing in the way of fitness, and also one of the things that's happening in a lot of these communities, and I fall on the tail end of it, is you're getting a lot more boomers,
Hmm.
and not so much the silent generation anymore. The boomers are getting into these communities, and the boomers are the ones that have really taken health and fitness to the next level.
Very true. We've seen, and a lot of people at our location are still working too. We're having a lot of people move in that still happen to be working. So we are in the midst of kind of adding more classes, more evening type programs, because we do have a lot of people that are still working. So that's a little bit of a change here.
Sure.
Um, anyway, as far as us, as far as adding more classes, we've got a lot of new programming that we're putting in and a lot of technology. Um, I'm sure most of your listeners, if they've been anywhere like a health club, you're going to see every cardio piece of equipment have electronic on it or internet so they can watch TV, play games, you name it. The equipment nowadays is pretty outstanding.
The equipment's outstanding, and quite frankly, Lois, I'm going through the website here, and I mean, wow, golf, group fitness. You've got hiking clubs, line dancing clubs.
Mm-hmm.
You got pickleball club. I want to talk a little bit about that. Ping pong and table tennis, softball club, tennis club, walking club, yoga instruction. I mean, wow, there's a lot going on, and I would imagine with as many people, how many residents are living in the community presently?
I think now we're right around 2,000.
2,000. You must be very busy.
Yes, we are. We are pretty busy.
So,
We're getting ready to have a big renovation as well, so that's coming along as well. Because of the growth, we're kind of outgrowing our current location, so
well,
we're getting ready for that as well.
it's nice to know that Ropes and Communities is putting more money into it, especially for an 11-year-old project. I want to do a deeper dive here in the second segment, really, to talk about, hey, if you're wanting to start working out and being fit, what steps do you take your residents through, and what steps should some of our listeners think about taking themselves through to be more fit and live a healthier, happier life? So let's save that for the second segment. They go really fast here, Lois. We're down one. We've got 3 more to go. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I'm really proud to have with me on the telephone, not here in the studio, but thanks to modern technology, Lois Moncel. She's here, Robeson Resort Communities. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and we are in our second segment here. If you're just tuning in, I have got on the line with me Lois Moncel. She is with Robeson Resort Communities. She is in charge of fitness and wellness and health over at Robeson Ranch, which is in Eloy, Arizona. And that is literally in between Phoenix and Tucson. And I got to tell you, Lois, I really never really thought about these communities, especially 55-plus communities where so many people are still working, right?
You're right. You're right. And it's amazing. I really didn't think so when I started here either. But as we go on, more and more people are still working, and they remain very, very active. So it's great to see all these people stay healthy or trying to stay healthy and keep in top shape for themselves.
I love it. Now, listen, before we dive into how do we get started in terms of an exercise and workout plan, I would love our listeners to learn a little bit about you, Lois, and who you are, where you're from, and how did you get started into working with seniors in fitness?
Well, I'm about the same age as you are, so it's been a while. I started probably about 25 years ago. Had gotten out of college and realized that I was gaining weight and not being that active, and so wanted to make changes in my own life or my own health. And so I took a fitness class, and at that time I decided I could do what this person was doing or this instructor, and that was it. That's what got me started. I decided I wanted to be a part of the fitness industry. And so I became certified as a trainer, a personal trainer, nutrition coach, aqua instructor, and recently a brain health trainer. And I actually started with an all-women's facility, managing it, and then went to a Bally Total Fitness, which was big for a while.
I remember those guys.
Yeah. And from there, kind of moved here to Arizona and worked at a few clubs and country clubs as the fitness director, and now have my home, hopefully forever, at Robeson Ranch in Eloy.
Did you get your home there first?
No,
and then get the job, or you got the job and then you got a home there?
Actually, I don't live in this community.
Okay.
I actually live in a different town.
Got it.
My career home is here at Robeson. So
I totally understand. How long have you been over at Robeson now?
6 years, actually, or I'm in my 6th year.
Yeah, so you've been there a little more than half the life of Robeson Ranch, so that's pretty good. You know, 2,000 residents. Do you feel like you have a handle on knowing all of them? That's a lot of people, and that's a lot of names to remember.
Heck no. It is a lot of names, and that's probably not my forte, but I know people. So I remember faces, and I remember what's going on with their fitness level, actually.
I love
and so that's kind of what keeps me in the door, I guess.
Well, for memory recall, talk to me a little bit about this brain health trainer. That's really fascinating to me. I served on the board of Banner Alzheimer's Institute for 10
Yeah.
years, and I'm fascinated with what we're doing to really help memory for older adults, and some of the breakthroughs that we're trying to advance on Alzheimer's and dementia. I got a great show coming up in a couple weeks with a fantastic doctor, Dr. Marwan Sabah, and I'm looking forward to having some conversations with him in terms of clinical trials and where things are at. But
Mhm.
would love to know a little bit more about brain health training. Can you share?
Yeah, I went through an awesome certification, and it's Dr. Ryan Jalot, and um, basically, a lot of research has come out in the last few years showing that if you combine physical activity with cognitive skills, it's better. It's far more effective, if you will, than if you were to work one by itself, meaning how you get on a treadmill and you walk, maybe you watch TV, you really don't, let's say, think a lot. Or you might go home. A lot of people will go home after work or in their day, throughout their day, they'll do a crossword puzzle or something to keep their mind sharp. Well, now you take those two things and put them together, and that's where the the more progress comes through. And so we have adopted a class. First, it started with a class, um, and it's called Brains in Balance in Motion. And I've taken basic skills like you might be sitting in a chair doing marches or jacks in a chair. And then we combined if you would say the ABCs and skip every other letter. Or you might be walking and they have a piece of paper to read with a poem or something, and they're reading while they're walking. So it's making them do physical activity while they have to do cognitive skills.
Wow, that's
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
and so on top of that, to complement that program, my goal, our goal here at our community is we just purchased a machine called the Smart Fit, and to my knowledge right now, there are no other. There's three in the state of Arizona, and I know Banner Hospital has one. There's another place in Phoenix, maybe a couple more, but then we're the only community that actually has it, or fitness center, or over 55 adult community. And this machine is gaming, so it's taken new technology and applying it to what happens is you have a panel. Imagine a panel in front of you with targets that light up. And for example, you take a squat. You're holding a squat, or you can do a sit to stand from a chair. You stand up, sit down, stand up. So it's giving you physical activity as well as you might have to, when the lights come on, you hit a green circle and you avoid a red X. And it moves kind of quick. You can go from 10-second workout to 5-minute workout.
Wow.
It's fascinating. It's the Marine Corps just adopted it in their program, and I know USC has their elite athletes in the program. And to me, it was like, why doesn't every community or 55 and over or assisted living, independent care, why don't we all have these machines? It's an awesome way to work out. It's fun. It adds social time with your friends, and it's quick. It's not something that you have to go work out for an hour. Because a lot of people don't like to put the time in.
Right, right. I'm looking at it online. I had never heard of this before. This is really really slick.
It's awesome. It's
Yeah.
awesome, and our homeowners are learning it now. We have orientations. We do two different types of orientation. One is for ADL, which is activities of daily living for those people that maybe have some a little more cognitive decline than others, and maybe their physical movement isn't as good, or not good, but they're just not. They don't want something as challenging. And then we do it for fitness and sports performance as well. So the fitness and sports performance is high cognitive games as well as a little bit higher physical demand.
I'm watching it right now, and for
Mhm.
our listeners, smartfit.rocks. That's
Yeah.
the website, and wow, I love to get one of these for my home. I mean, but you think about it, it's very interactive,
Mhm.
and like you said, you gamify exercise and brain health. I got to tell you, I mean, I love having you here on the show, but you've just opened the big door for me, and I love what they're doing, and I love that Robeson Communities is doing this. Is this available in all the Robeson properties, or is it just in Robeson Ranch?
For right now, it's just at our community, but my hope is that it will be something that we see great value in, and we put it in all of the Robeson communities.
Well,
Again,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was just going to say, you hear the music, and
Mhm.
it goes by really, really fast, and you and I didn't get a chance to really talk a little bit about the show because you're calling in from Eloy. But I do want you to know, I do want to talk about how people get into beginning fitness. But you've opened our eyes, and I want our listeners to stick around. I am proud to have Lois Moncel here. Stick around. We got 2 more segments.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and we're in our second half here. And if you're just tuning in, I've got Lois Moncel here coming to us live via the phone lines. She's down in Eloy, Arizona, and she is over at Robeson Ranch. That's one of the beautiful Robeson resort communities, and she is the Director of Fitness and Wellness. And if you missed our first 2 segments, our first half, please go up to our website at cypresshomecare.com. Click on the media button. The radio button is right below that. You'll catch this show and nearly 500 more that we've been bringing to you every Friday from noon to 1. So, Lois, it's good to have you back on, and we talked about a lot, and I got to tell you, I am just so blown away by this Smart Fit.
It is awesome.
I got to figure out how much this thing costs because I want one for my home. I mean, look, I used to play high school athletics. I played college lacrosse. I'm still somewhat of a weekend warrior, and if I'm not chasing a ball, I really don't want to work out. So, I mean, gamifying exercise like this is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I love it. Absolutely love it. So I want to take this opportunity to dig in a little bit deeper and really talk about something I teed up the second segment for him we didn't get to, and that is, how do we get started in fitness? If I'm 55 or 60, and I want to start working out, what do you recommend? How do we start?
I think the first thing is um, accepting that you need to do something. So maybe somebody's sitting on the couch not feeling well. You got to come to a point in your life and you accept that, hey, I better get busy and do something. And I think that's a huge step for individuals. And then once once they know and have accepted that I better get busy, just finding a place to go, or if you're a person that you don't need a social group, maybe just walking outside for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. A lot of my clients, they'll just say, hey, if it's 5 minutes that you can do in this particular activity, then it's 5 minutes. And you start to build up from there and start adding in different activities. Maybe it's going to be a little bit of weight training, which is huge. Um, Maybe it's going to be swimming. Maybe it's walking in the water. Maybe it's walking to a friend's house or bicycling to a friend's house and then bicycling back. So obviously you want to check with your physician or your healthcare provider first. But after that, you just have to make the decision. I think I heard one time, just taking the step, getting out of bed, putting your shoes on, your gym shoes on or your sneakers, and getting outside and taking that first step is like a huge moment. Once you've done that, you'll be able to get on with it.
And if you're doing that down at Ropes and Ranch Communities, is that something that you as the director of fitness and wellness, are you monitoring them? Obviously, we all want to do things at a ease in process as you've just described. But I will tell you, I mean, having been a former athlete, I'm all or nothing.
I believe that.
I probably could hurt myself for sure.
And I think you're not alone. I think with individuals, if you belong to a health club or a community that has a gym, a structured program, for us, we have an orientation to the equipment. And so we'll take a person and let them see it, feel it, if you will, see how the machines work, and then classes. For example, we're just getting ready to kick off another class, which is called Reps Light. And this program is for a person, they're not ready to go into full board weight training class, but they want to do it. So we get to use an apparatus to, like a step or a bench, to hold on to give a little bit more support. So start slow. Then if you're an all or nothing person like you are, I think you might get hurt or sore.
Definitely sore. No, there's no doubt about that.
Kind of like, for example, pickleball. We see people starting to play pickleball and they're gung-ho, which is awesome. But a lot of times they forget to warm up or move their body. So when they get on the court, then it's hot and, they might not be drinking as much water as they should. And they misstep, fall, and hurt themselves. So another huge thing is don't go out cold when you're starting a sport like tennis, even golf. You should always try to do a little bit of a warm-up, stretching at home, get the body moving before you step on the court or the course.
You mentioned pickleball, and it is like the rage. I mean, there's like there's a restaurant that's coming here that has lots of pickleball courts. It's kind of set up like Culinary Dropout that Sam Fox has got with all the games. But this is a pickleball restaurant. It was profiled in the Business Journal about a month or two ago. So they're coming here, and pickleball's really, really caught on. Can you tell me, I mean, you're living in a 55-plus community or working in a 55-plus community, and you have been doing this for 6 years. How has pickleball really become the rage there at Ropes and Ranch?
Well, we have a huge pickleball. I think we're close to 500 people in the pickleball club.
Wow.
And and so our facility has quite a few, a couple of huge tournaments, and then they're having like local intramural tournaments all the time. And so obviously pickleball is taken off. I think the people see that they may have been a tennis player and maybe they can't move as quick as they used to be. Mm-hmm. And so pickleball, they don't have to move as far when it's because you've got a partner on the same side of the court. So, I think I'm not going to say it's easier because they really do work out when they're playing, but it might be a little more gentle to get into than running or, and it's competitive. These folks are rated, and they're ranked, and they take it very seriously. But then you also have the social people that, hey, I just want to do this and have some fun and move my body, get a workout, which they do, and they can do it forever.
Right. 500 people. Wow, that's impressive. I mean, My math tells me that's at least 25% of the community is doing pickleball.
I would say that's really close. We're busy every single day, every morning.
And what did it look like prior to the pandemic in 2019 or 2018?
You know, it was still a really big deal. I mean, our location just has a very big and very active pickleball community. I've been other places that it was just getting started.
Mm-hmm.
I came from a country club before I worked here, and they were not there yet. It was still, people weren't familiar with it yet, and that was, 6 years ago. So I think it's continuously growing, and I think you'll see in your own community, wherever you are, if you go to a community center, the health clubs, they're all going to have, most of them will have some sort of pickleball program, beginner lessons, advanced lessons, tournaments. They play it indoors in the gym, on the basketball court. So, I mean, it's everywhere.
It's amazing. It really is. We're getting ready to wind down our third segment, and I want to tee up the last segment for us. You are doing a lot of things there at Robeson Ranch, and we've talked a lot about health and fitness. I'd love to do a deeper dive in the fourth segment about wellness factors besides exercise that help agility and mental health, and would love to really hear some of those things that you're doing. We may have already discussed those, and then I would like to just really dive into where do you see things going into the future, and what's the future like for you, Lois, and what's the latest in terms of the smart fits or other things that are out there, other tools to really help people with fitness and health. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. We got a little Steely Dan taking us out in the third segment. We've got Lois Moncel here with me here at Health Futures, coming in via the telephone lines. We're talking health and fitness. We're talking about an active adult community. We're talking specifically Robeson Ranch, which is part of the Robeson Resort Communities. Stick around. One more segment. We'll be right back.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and I've got Lois Moncel here talking to us about wellness and fitness. She is the Director of Fitness and Wellness over at Robeson Ranch, which is in Eloy, Arizona. It's one of the beautiful Robeson resort community properties. This one has over 2,000 residents, been around 11 years. Lois has been there for 6 years, and if you've missed the first 3 segments, go up to our website at cypresshomecare.com. Click on the media button. Radio button's right below it. You'll be able to catch this show and many, many more. So, Lois, I've really enjoyed meeting you and getting to know you and some of the stuff that you're doing. I love the stuff that you're doing relative to brain health and brains in balance and motion and the Smart Fit program and really all the activities that you've got going on. And I've shared those with our listeners. And, if they want to learn more, you can go out to Robeson Ranch Properties. I just want to make sure it's Robeson. If you go to www.robeson.com communities, you'll find the Robeson Ranch, Arizona property. And just I'm fascinated by how active your community is and the fact that so many people still work.
Yeah.
It really is truly amazing. And for me, I teed up this segment. I want to talk about wellness factors that are outside the exercise area and that can help with agility and mental health. Can you share with us some of the things that you're doing?
Well, for our community, they do a lot of, if we're thinking outside the fitness realm, playing any games like card games like Mahjong. We have a huge card playing community, mahjong community, um, as well as, well, you have your poker and things like that, which are socialization is huge. And I think a lot of people, when they get into a certain point, either they've got to step outside their comfort zone and go meet people and talk to people and get involved in things, even glass fusion and pottery, things like that. Just to, they've shown so much research that says, hey, if you're depressed, it's harder to stay fit and happy and have a good life. But if you can overcome, a lot of people get depressed when they get aging, if they're losing their partner or their kids aren't around. So getting people out of their homes and into just things going on in the community, whether it be a 55 and over or just a town with a community center, just getting involved, I think is huge.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. And, I know that we have a population here aging that, is feeling depressed for all the reason you mentioned. I mean, social isolation for 65 and plus is a huge issue. And then you have the pandemic, which we locked everyone down for almost 18 months. That made things even worse. So, certainly socialization is really big, and the fact that you have all these activities, and you mentioned cards and mahjong, and certainly all the fitness and all the clubs that you've got going on, truly it seriously defines an adult aging community. I mean, you're really doing some fascinating things there. Love hearing the stuff that you're working on. We still have probably quite a few more minutes here, and I don't want to miss out on anything. Is there any questions I haven't asked that I should ask you to really enlighten our listeners and me about you and the Ropes and Ranch property?
I don't think so. I think I hope that people will know Robeson as a community that they really do care about the health and wellness of the community, of the homeowners. And someone told me a long time ago when I started that the people that move to a 55 and over community, a lot of times this might be their almost last or last home, and it should feel like they live in a resort. And I've always kept that in mind. This should be the place that they feel excited to go into a gym or excited to go to a pool party, because there's always something going on to keep them involved. And I think Robeson does a really wonderful job of that. We strive hard to make this your home, your forever home, or your last home, however you want to say it. And it would do them justice to come and check it out. I think the people here are awesome, and the people that own, Ed Robeson and everybody in the higher ups, they're awesome group of people. And so it would be worth your while to check out.
And I kicked off the top of the show really talking about Ed and, what he's built here. And, I have had a chance, as I shared with you, to meet him a couple times. And he talked to me about his real estate career back in the 60s and then having joined Del Webb. And I didn't realize that he was part of Del Webb. And then he pulled out and in 1972 started his very first Robeson community in Sun Lakes. And it's just grown from there. Just fascinating. So our listeners know, I mean, he's got, not only the Sun Lakes property, I talked about Pebble Creek, which is in Metro Phoenix. Actually, it's a little bit on the west side. And then you got Saddlebrook, which is in Tucson. You got the preserves in North Tucson, Saddlebrook Ranch in the North Tucson area, Quail Creek in Green Valley, Robeson Ranch is what we're talking about here, and Robeson Ranch, Texas, in Denton, Texas. So, I mean, fascinating. He is self-made and had this vision, and, you are living that vision of his that he had back in the 1970s. Just amazing, nothing short of amazing. What we have just about a minute left, and I wanted to thank you, but I also want to give you an opportunity to leave any lasting messages for me and for our listeners about you and about Robeson Ranch and fitness and health.
Well, I just think, I guess my passion is the health as we age, and I've seen my parents go through many issues, many health issues, and I just want people to take the time to, if you have parents or loved ones, take the time to help them and listen to them. And what I see a lot of places is they might have the facility, but really no one takes the time to work with the individuals in the facility or in the fitness center. And I hope that one day, you know, the brain's imbalance and people worrying about their brains as well as their physical body, that they'll all start to really consider it and think how important it is.
Well, and I think I'll also add is if you're moving into a 55 plus community, you should be aware of all the activities that they have, just like you have there. I mean, there's plenty to do, and I have learned so much here today from you, Lois. Thank you, Lois Moncel, the Director of Fitness and Wellness from Robeson Ranch down in Eloy, Arizona. I've really enjoyed our conversation today. Make it a great day. Have a great weekend. We're going to be back next Friday.
There's no place like home. You've been listening to Bob Roth's Health Futures. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call Cypress Home Care Solutions at 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Or visit cypresshomecare.com. Be sure to join Health Futures with Bob Roth every Friday at noon, right here on Money Radio 1510 and 105.3 FM.